Before you continue watching, I'd like you to do one simple thing. Please write yes or sometimes in the comments. If you're over 55 and you've noticed that your energy isn't as consistent as it used to be, that recovery after physical effort takes longer, that mental sharpness fades faster during the day, or that your physical and sexual confidence feels less reliable, this video is for you. And no, in most cases, this is not simply normal aging. Hello, my name is Dr. Laura Miller. I'm a urologist and I specialize in men's health. In my clinical practice, I regularly meet men over 55 who believe that declining testosterone is inevitable, irreversible, and something they simply have to accept. That belief is understandable, but it is not entirely accurate. Today, I want to walk you through 5 natural factors that strongly influence testosterone levels in men after 55, and more importantly, how these factors interact with your metabolism, hormones, and long-term health when addressed consistently and intelligently. Why testosterone still matters. After 55, testosterone decline rarely presents as a single obvious problem. Instead, it tends to appear as a constellation of subtle but progressive changes: reduced libido, persistent fatigue, decreased muscle mass, slower recovery, diminished motivation, and reduced cognitive sharpness. What often goes unspoken is that low testosterone is also associated with increased cardiovascular risk, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, and higher all-cause mortality. In other words, this is not about vanity, performance, or youth. It is about resilience, longevity, and functional independence. After 55, testosterone becomes less about peak performance and more about maintaining stability across multiple systems of the body. Factor number 1: excess body fat. Weight loss advice often sounds simplistic, but its hormonal implications are profound. Adipose tissue contains an enzyme called aromatase, which converts testosterone into estradiol. The greater the volume of fat tissue, the more active this conversion becomes. As a result, even men with otherwise healthy testicular function may experience suppressed testosterone levels simply due to excess fat mass. Clinical data consistently shows that reducing body fat leads to measurable increases in testosterone in overweight men. What's particularly important is that the relationship is dose-dependent. The more fat mass is reduced, the more favorable the hormonal shift tends to be. However, research also indicates that physical activity can significantly reduce the amount of weight loss required to achieve hormonal improvement. In other words, improving metabolic activity matters just as much as the number on the scale. Factor number 2: the type of exercise. You do movement alone is not enough. The pattern of movement matters. Studies comparing steady-state aerobic exercise with high-intensity interval training, CHIT, show that interval-based training produces a more robust acute testosterone response. This does not mean extreme workouts or pushing to exhaustion, especially after 55. Rather, it refers to short, controlled bursts of higher effort followed by adequate recovery, adapted to your cardiovascular capacity and orthopedic health. When performed correctly, this style of training stimulates anabolic signaling without excessive cortisol elevation. Equally important is resistance training. Progressive strength work helps preserve muscle tissue, which in turn improves insulin sensitivity, metabolic efficiency, and hormonal utilization. Testosterone does not function in isolation. It works within a system that depends on muscle, mitochondria, and metabolic demand. Factor number 3: nutrition and hormonal substrate. No hormonal strategy succeeds without adequate nutritional support. One of the most common mistakes I see in men over 55 is prolonged aggressive fat restriction. Testosterone is a steroid hormone, synthesized from cholesterol. When dietary fat is chronically restricted in men of normal body weight, testosterone production may suffer. This does not mean a high-fat diet is required, nor does it mean unhealthy fats should be encouraged. It means that balanced intake matters, particularly when weight is already within a healthy range. For men with excess weight, the priority remains gradual fat loss. For men at a healthy weight, nutritional sufficiency, including adequate protein, micronutrients, and fats, supports hormonal stability. Regarding soy, despite widespread concern, large-scale analyses show no clinically meaningful reduction in testosterone, even with relatively high soy intake. Fear-based dietary avoidance often creates more harm than benefit. Factor number 4, sleep, circadian rhythm, and hormonal timing. Sleep is not passive recovery, it is active hormonal regulation. Testosterone production follows a circadian rhythm, with the majority of daily synthesis occurring during sleep. Studies demonstrate that each hour of sleep loss is associated with a measurable decline in testosterone levels. And chronic sleep restriction can reduce testosterone by up to 15%. Equally important is wake timing. Extremely early wake-up schedules may disrupt circadian alignment, even when total sleep duration appears adequate. Hormonal rhythms depend on consistency, not just quantity. Optimizing sleep hygiene, reducing nighttime interruptions, minimizing evening screen exposure, and maintaining consistent sleep and wake times is one of the most underestimated hormonal interventions available. Factor number 5, endocrine disrupting chemicals. Modern environments expose us to substances that interfere with hormonal signaling. Bisphenol A, BPA, commonly found in plastics and food packaging, is one of the most studied endocrine disruptors. Research links BPA exposure to lower testosterone levels, insulin resistance, and metabolic dysfunction. Reducing exposure does not require extreme measures. Simple steps: avoiding plastic food containers, not heating food in plastic, choosing glass or stainless steel alternatives, and selecting BPA-free products can meaningfully reduce cumulative exposure over time. Hormonal health is not only about what you add, but also about what you reduce. A brief word on supplements and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is often marketed as a testosterone booster. Controlled trials show small, inconsistent increases in testosterone, many of which are not statistically significant. However, reductions in stress and anxiety are more consistently observed. Lower stress can indirectly support hormonal balance, particularly in men with chronically elevated cortisol levels. Supplements should never replace foundational lifestyle factors, but in some cases, they may provide modest supportive benefits. After 55, testosterone decline is not a verdict, it is a signal. A signal that the body is responding to cumulative inputs over time. The direction your health takes from here depends less on genetics and more on daily decisions applied consistently. Movement, nutrition, sleep, environmental exposure, and stress management. If this video helped clarify what may be happening in your body and gave you a clearer framework for action, please give it a like. It tells me that this kind of in-depth, evidence-based discussion is valuable to you. Subscribe to the channel if you want continued, medically grounded conversations about men's health, explained clearly and without exaggeration or fear. And please leave a comment letting me know what part of today's discussion stood out to you most and what topics you would like me to cover next: hormones, prostate health, sleep, energy, recovery, or sexual health. Thank you for your attention and for taking the time to watch. This was Dr. Laura Miller. Take care of your health.